Welcome back to part 2 of the 4-episode series where, using psychology, neuroscience and also insights from this book written by Paul Dolan, Happiness by Design, I explain how depression blurs out all the positive aspects of our life and also what we can do to reclaim those little moments of joy. Last week I talked about how great depression is at editing how we perceive our surroundings and ourselves. And today I'm going to be talking about how our surroundings can contribute to magnify those feelings of low mood and depression. And same as last week, at the end of this video, I'm going to give you a small challenge for you to participate. And as I was saying before, I really want these videos to be interactive so that you're not going to become only a passive absorber of the knowledge, but I want you as well to put the things into action so you actually can make change in your life. Because I believe that these baby steps that you're gonna be taking now, they can with time mount into a long-standing positive changes in your life. Have you ever walked into a messy room and then you felt like your energy is being drained? You felt some negative energy. And this is not only in your head, but there's actually science behind it. Study shows that our environment can physically alter our brain's chemistry, and these effects are gonna be magnified for people who are dealing with depression. One of the key ideas around depression is that depression doesn't only make our life harder, but it also makes the good choices harder. So what do you think about redesigning your space in order to trigger some positive energy, so that could be then one of those baby steps that perhaps you might have to take in order to start dealing with your low mood or depression. So now, let's talk about science. Paul Dolan's research shows that 95% of our daily decisions happens on autopilot. So from grabbing snacks or scrolling on our phones, and then depression actually exploits this by making unhealthy choices the default way of thinking of being. So for example, if our phone is on the nightstand, we will still check it first thing in the morning, even though we know this actually worsens our mood throughout the day. If snacks are somewhere around, even though we are not hungry, we will still mindlessly reach for them. The problem is that depression actually drains our energy that normally we could use to make those healthy, conscious choices. But instead of fighting it, what we can do is to first of all become aware what those unhealthy default choices are, whether they are behavioral or thinking patterns, and then we can try to redesign those default choices into new default ways of thinking and being. A study that was published in 2021 in Journal of Environmental Psychology found that cluttered spaces increase cortisol, which is the stress hormone. Depression numbs us to this stress, so we don't even know how, for instance, the clutter might be impacting us. Yet another study that was published quite recently, because in 2023, says that chaotic environments, which we can imagine them as, for instance, being cluttered, they reduce activity in prefrontal cortex, which is just here at the front. And this part of the brain takes part in decision making and also in focus. So when your depression tells you that you cannot do anything, you cannot achieve anything, this partially could be related to the fact that maybe your surroundings are untidy, unclean, maybe they're cluttered. So you could say that your environment is really working against you. So now I want you to pause and ask yourself these two very simple questions. What's the easiest thing to do in this space? Is it helpful or harmful? And the second one, what's harder than it should be? So maybe finding a book under a pile of clothes. And this is not to make you feel guilty or shame, but it is to help you to become more aware of those unhelpful defaults way that maybe now they became a norm for you. And only once you're gonna be able to notice them, this is when you're gonna be able to make positive changes in your life. Paul Dolan's core idea around depression is very simple. Behavior follows the path of the least resistance. And to work with that, we need to add the friction to bad habits. So for instance, move your snacks onto the higher shelf, and reduce the friction for good habits. So for instance, if you're struggling with drinking water, maybe put few bottles of water around your house. Same as I have here, a glass of water, because I'm terrible at drinking water. And why this is so important for depression, it is because people who deal with low mood, they struggle with motivation. Sometimes even the motivation is like a fictional concept for them. So we cannot then rely on the willpower, and therefore we need to engineer our environment so it can work for us. So now let's spend some time thinking about how we can reset your immediate environment. So whether it is your workspace or maybe your bedroom. First of all, we can think about the lighting. So the warmer light can actually increase our serotonin level. And serotonin, it is a brain chemical that we artificially increase with psychotropic medication. So why not try doing it with just a better lighting in our environment? Secondly, we can think about the sounds that are surrounding us. So for instance, the brown sounds that you can easily find on YouTube, they have been shown to reduce our ruminations by quieting the default mode network. And as you can most probably guess by now, the smells also can impact how we feel emotionally. So if you believe that maybe you're surrounded by those old, dull smells, maybe that would be the time to actually introduce some candles or fragrant oils that maybe they're reminding you of something really pleasant from the past, or maybe you would like to introduce something really new, refreshing. Paul Dolan, he argued that happiness requires attention anchor. So these are the physical cues that pull our attention towards joy. You could have, for instance, a happy shelf where you put maybe your favorite book or maybe your favorite photo. So if that's somewhere on your eye level, that can then serve as a reminder of maybe some good memories from your life. Secondly, you could also design a non-guilt zone. So maybe you redesign one corner of your room where the shoulds and musts are not allowed. And why this works? Because depression narrows your attention to threats and failures. By placing those positive anchors in your environment, you give your brain other places to focus. Now let's go into the challenge. On day one, I would like you to assess your environment, your space, and think how your space is impacting your mood. On day two, I would like you to add an anchor. So it could be the happy shelf where you display something that brings you joy. Maybe you will get a new lamp or maybe new plant. And on day three, I would like you to remove one friction. So for instance, maybe you remove the charger from your bedroom so that you don't charge your phone inside your bedroom. And now, I would love to hear from you whether you managed to engage with the challenge, and as well, whether you've noticed the slightest change in your mood. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, then please like it, subscribe, and I'm gonna see you in the next one then. Thank you. Bye bye.